So, how many of us in the room today have had meat, let's say, in the last 48 hours? I'm pretty sure every single person in the room here will raise their hand to answer this question. Today, we're going to discuss the benefits, drawbacks, and maybe side effects of living a more plant-based diet. So, I know what everybody's thinking. It's like, oh man, there's no way I could give up a steak and all the other things. Trust me, I'm definitely skeptical myself. But we're going to analyze this from three different categories. First, we're going to look at it from cost. Second, we're going to look at it from the environmental effects. And third, we're going to look at it from a physical health perspective. So, for starters, if we're analyzing the cost benefits of leading a more vegetarian or even a vegan lifestyle, there's been several surveys and studies conducted that say that you'll save upwards of 40% just going to shop for majority vegetables as you do meats. And what I mean by this is just ask yourself, last time you were at the grocery store, you grab a banana, a couple of bell peppers, a bag of rice. You'll spend maybe $4. For 3 hamburger patties, maybe a pound of ground beef, you're spending upwards of $1 just for the 1 pound of ground beef. So when you factor this into having a high protein or animal meat diet, you are adding the money on frequently. And this here, I don't know if you can see the glare on it, is a graph that's showing here at the top is the cost per kilogram of beef, lamb, chicken, and pork. And down at the bottom is cost per kilogram of rice, soybean, and corn. So as you can see, the green portion of this bar graph is substantially shorter than the red portion. What does this correlate to? This is saying that you are spending substantially less money to feed yourself if you based your diet solely on vegetables. So, next one, the planet. You know, we're all here. We're all living, breathing. We were able to get here. Most of us got here damaging the environment ourselves, driving a vehicle one way or another. But a lot of people do not know that the livestock industry produces a alarming amount of greenhouse gases and other chemicals that go into the air that contribute to global warming. For example, there's something crazy like 400 metric tons of CO2 that is expelled just from cows belching, as also passing gas. This greenhouse gas, CO2, or even methane. Methane contributes to global warming as it traps the sun's rays here on the planet longer, so it increases the planet's temperature, melting the polar ice caps and causing water levels to rise, adding to property destruction, and increasing different other climate change effects as increases in disasters, as well as famine and drought for areas that are trying to produce this agriculturally friendly product. On the flip side, if you were to put more into a more plant-based diet, what are plants doing? Plants, to grow themselves, remove carbon dioxide from the air. So they are the solution, or they are a part of the solution in correcting this global warming crisis that we are facing. Because we're adding deforestation and all of these forms of transportation and energy production. And then on top of that, majority of the world consume cows and pigs and chicken at a staggering rate. And it's not even just about the meat consumption and the factory production that goes into producing these meats. A lot of it has to do with the meat being kept themselves, the energy it takes to keep these farms going, the manufacturing that goes into feeding these animals, as well as the waste products from these animals that are contributing to global warming. And last but not least, if nothing else was a good enough reason to shift to a more plant-based diet, let's talk about your health. When you're taking the health into account, one of the leading causes of cancer is colorectal cancer. And this has been linked to an increase in consumption of red meats. So this is hamburgers, a lot of other wild game. These increased risk factors of a population that does not eat as much red meat or may eat chicken and majority of vegetables do not see the prevalence in these colorectal cancers. And it is becoming a bigger issue even in the African American community because much of our meat is red meat. There's always steak at a barbecue. There's always hamburgers. So all of this red meat, along with other genetic factors that make African American individuals more predisposed to having or developing colorectal cancer, is another reason why it would be a beneficial shift to health if we did not eat as much red meat. So here is another graph. Where's the glare? Oh, it's glaring pretty bad. There we go. So these are the top 10 cancers and the top 10 cancers that cause death. So if you see, we got lung cancer, prostate, female breast, and then number 4 is colon cancer. That one is specifically up there in large part to the lifestyle of the people who are afflicted with this condition and also die, because cancer isn't something that necessarily can be prevented. Some things, just like the machinery, just doesn't work right, so you get cancer, but there are certain steps that you can take to mitigate the effects that cancer may have on you in the long run. And one of these is reducing your intake of meat. So, ask yourself, in close, do you want to save the planet for future generations? Would you like to save your pockets a little bit more and go on more vacations? And would you like to live a healthier, happier, and longer life without having to worry about some of these illnesses and other conditions that come along with the increased consumption of meat? Those are things you have to ask yourself.